Okay, well, welcome to our second session this afternoon. Welcome to AV Magazine TV, and as you know, we're reporting on a number of discussion points. This morning looking at enterprise AV, today now the Internet of Things, and tomorrow we're looking at collaboration. So this is our second of our three sessions, and with this to just discuss really what the Internet of Things or IoT means to AV, we have three guests with us. Right at the end is Michael Carter, who's Vice President Business Development and Marketing for the Clarient Group. Sorry, I have to put my glasses on because I can't see what I'm reading.
That's all right.
Second along is Brad Grimes, Director of Communications for InfoComm. And nearest to me, and probably the most handsome of the four of us, is Mr. Danny Rogers, who's Vice President Global Channels and Partner Alliances for AVI-SPL. I've realized that my job title isn't long enough. It's far too short these days to have you need to have a decently long job title, don't you, Liz? It just gives you a great deal more importance. I'm so unimportant in this sort. So really, I don't know, let's crack off with you, Brad, if I could, without dropping my glasses. InfoComm obviously running major IoT session here, aren't they? Where are we? What does it actually mean? And what was the starting point when you were running sessions? Do you define what IoT is? Or did you start further on the line? I mean, how do we start thinking about this stuff?
Well,
or what is it? You know?
Yeah, what is it? It's interesting in that this industry in particular, whether it realizes it or not, has been doing IoT-like solutions for a long time, and we've been putting AV devices on networks in order to better manage them and in order to better manage rooms. The projector that is on a network connection, so you can monitor its lamp life, whether it's on or off. Those were the early stages of the Internet of Things. Once everything else was riding on the internet, and it became this tagline for a lot of things going on the network at the same time. It became this thing that we felt we needed to understand because it's a large opportunity for the Pro AV industry. And so we did. InfoComm organized a new conference, IoT Insights, which we held earlier this year in Santa Clara. That was the first time. We had an IoT Insights Super Tuesday here at the show. Michael was the master of ceremonies there, and he moderated that for us. We just think it's an important opportunity, and for me, what I would say that the biggest challenge is, first of all, understanding that this industry has a background here. We understand the concepts of it from an outcome point of view. I mean, we've been doing this, coming up with solutions that are IoT-like or IoT-based. And what I think I would challenge the AV integrators, designers, manufacturers at a show like this is to start discussing solutions that are IoT-based or IoT-like without ever saying IoT. I mean, what we need to do is we need to start talking about these solutions in terms of outcomes, what we can do for customers, rather than getting into the nitty-gritty of what is the IoT. I mean, it's really just lots of machines and devices on a network that can be linked together to build solutions to issues and to problems. And when we start talking about them, and this is what I can do for you, oh, and I'll use IoT technologies, then people will appreciate it and we'll be able to sell things better.
Michael, is it a concept or is it a set of technologies? I mean, it's still not clear.
So it's a little bit of both, right? The IoT, I tend to agree with Brad. We really shouldn't be talking about IoT. We should be talking about connected devices and how we connect them, and what is the value proposition. And the first step is really to look at it, again, as Brad was saying, from the user's perspective, from the client perspective. What are they trying to achieve? Because IoT is really a concept of collecting data, right? It's a bunch of sensors that collect data. Jones Lang LaSalle, property management companies, is using carpet sensors to track traffic patterns in a building to do a better job of laying out their building and their floor plan, so that they can minimize traffic bottlenecks and also, maximize use of space. So it's really, IoT is that. IoT is a concept of collecting data to provide value, right? Okay. You collect the data, you do analytics on it, and then you create an actionable function or item that provides value to a client.
Okay, Danny, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting because I remember many years ago being at a Cisco event, and I heard the Internet of Things for the first time, thanks to Mr. Chambers, with everybody scuttling away to really think and understand what the Internet of Things really meant. And
Well, when Chambers says something,
when
people
Chambers
do,
says
yeah,
something, people
yeah.
do tend to do that.
Yeah.
And what's interesting listening to the chaps here is that it's now around us. If you actually have to mention the IoT, and you're right, integrators have a responsibility to not even mention that when you actually talk about where we actually get the data. So whether it's analytics, whether it's actually looking at foot traffic in a building, whether it's actually making sure you're providing monitoring and management to provide good data, good analytics, it's ubiquitous, it's right across the piece. But I do come back to that original point. No one picks up a mobile phone and says, how do I actually make this call? And by the way, it goes up there and comes back down. The same should be said in terms of the Internet of Things, and I think that's fundamental. You start confusing people or start talking too much technology as opposed to how it all fits together, the USPs and the benefits, then I think you've actually missed the point.
Yeah, very good point actually. I mean, there seem to be two areas this, doesn't there? There's, as you say, Michael, that it's a really valuable way of collecting data,
Right.
that you learn more about the systems you're running. But
Exactly.
there's also the second bit, which is all about delivering a better service to the AV user, isn't there? I'm not sure where the dividing line comes. You can see the big data outside of it, actually getting to know much better how the entire infrastructure works and how it delivers services more efficiently. But whether that's connected to actually delivering a better service itself to the AV end user, I don't know. So when you walk, always clear when you walk into a room, it knows who you are. It starts up all this invisible stuff that you assume anything with an IoT mantle will start to do. I can't see the difference between the two. The first one will be the first bit, and then it'll go on to the service to the user afterwards.
And really, that's the key, right? Is the data that you collect is only valuable if it does something for you, right? You can collect data all day and just have a data repository of tons and thousands of terabytes of data that creates no value for anybody. Unless you can do some analytics on it and understand it, and then sort of prescribe and predict. It's really, IoT with AV is more about predicting, right? It's about being able to collect that usage data of the devices, the number of people that are in a room, the who's in the room, what their goals are, what their needs are, and then be able to create action based on it. You collect that data, you analyze it, and look at it from the perspective of, so what does this mean for the AV environment, right? What does it mean for the projector, or the screen, or the VTC system, or whatever components are in there? What does it mean for the usage of those systems?
I mean, your session that you moderated, I mean, were there any active questions from the user base asking what IT? Has this been driven from the supply side?
Yeah, the sessions we had were mostly
significant.
integrators and consultants. There were a handful of end users, and they're very interested in it because they hear about it and they think it must be something, and it is. You know, I don't want to minimize what it is going to be and already is having a huge impact on our industry. Starting at this simple level of occupancy sensing and motion sensing, lighting controls, and the surrounding environment.
And where are we? Are we at the pretty low level at the moment, are we?
We're at the pretty low level in an AV world, right? There are many more things we can do. Companies are putting sensors on chairs to sense how many people are in a room. There's
sort of micro analysis of every single component, isn't there? You say, Brad, we've been doing it for years, so it must be higher up the chain.
Yeah,
surely.
and the fact that we call it, while we should be describing our solutions to our customers in terms that are not IoT centric and in terms that they understand about outcomes, it's still useful to be talking about the Internet of Things as an umbrella term for a lot of things that we do very well and the things we don't necessarily understand. I mean, this is not a data analytics industry yet.
Yeah.
Although it needs to get there if they're going to take the fullest advantage of Internet of Things technologies. This is not a device security or software security industry yet. But that's why we talk. That's why it's called IoT Insights. That's why we still, even though we don't want to describe our solutions as IoT solutions, we need an umbrella term to talk about the total complexity of what we're going after here, and it is a lot more. You know, it is analytics. It's where you process data. It's how you secure devices on the network. These are things that we do need to talk up and become educated on as an industry, because a lot of the other stuff we have, I mean, late 90s we were putting stuff on a network, and that's great, and then we could go to sleep for about a decade, and the IoT built up around us, and people started putting sensors in their running shoes and things like that, and now we can wait. It was fine to be asleep for a decade, but now the solutions are getting bigger. Now they're looking to this industry to deliver them, so now we need to get the totality of the solution from analytics to data to security. So that's why it's important to be talking about it right now.
The thing is, Danny, isn't this just integration?
It is just integration, but the Pro AV market needs as much help to migrate them, drag them kicking and screaming into the IoT world than they've ever needed. And to the point that's been made, IoT is all around us. It's not exclusive to the Pro AV world. From the consumable market to the domestic market to the energy market, all of those deploy IoT to make the speed of the analytics and the speed of decisions better. Security, homeland security, national security, these are all impactful because of IoT. And I think, when you actually look at the true benefits to a business, they're not just in the security and analytics, but they're also, in many ways, how you actually turn a CapEx model into an OpEx model. And what I mean by that is that you can have real-time global monitoring and management of your entire networks from anywhere in the world. And that saves on manpower, that saves on speed of decision, or improved speed of decision, and then ultimately makes you more competitive in a world where we all need to be more competitive. So it's ubiquitous, it's right across the piece. And I think technology, particularly in the IoT space, has accelerated quicker than probably the last 15 to 20 years of our industry.
So you're more or less saying that actually will force people to think more strategically about AV.
Very much so.
Yeah. Which is the inevitable conclusion. I think that's likely.
Yes. Yes.
It is happening
because
already.
We've been saying AV is becoming more strategic. I mean, it might be a bit of a catalyst it needs to change the mindset somewhat.
Yeah, I'm working on projects right now where the AV infrastructure is another core technology in the building.
It's an enterprise system.
And it's an enterprise system. They're building it as part of their core services within the building. And to add on to what Danny was saying about the integration side of it is, this I think is what's most important to think about from an integration perspective, is the AV industry has always been very good about integrating our systems, integrating our devices. IoT is more about reaching out and integrating outside systems, reaching out to the HVAC system and the lighting system and the shade control system and the security system, so that you can start creating more intelligence and better monitoring and better usage and better analytics of the actual technologies and understand your business better.
It's not all a good news story in some ways, because in the Pro AV space, there'll be many traditional Pro AV partners that probably don't want to go on that journey.
No.
So I think it will cause, not a split, I think that's too harsh a summary, but some of the people will go, I'm just a traditional AV company and I don't actually want to migrate into this world, which is absolutely fine. That's not a criticism, it's just an observation of some companies that just want to stay as they are, as opposed to move into the world of IoT.
We had that in our round table, didn't we, about sort of market splitting off to do quite reputable halves. Not halves, but we are in a fragmented market in a sense, aren't we? And it's very dangerous to just assume everybody's going to go the same route when they're very different tales and requirements.
And I think part of the reason we talk about IoT is, and I don't want to sound cliche here, but it's to identify the opportunity. For me, this is an exciting opportunity because inherent in the IoT, for it to work properly, is you look at the Cisco IBM Watson announcement recently that basically they're going to put a lot of intelligence at the edge of networks because that's where things have to take place very quickly. So for a conference room to react to someone and modify itself and adapt to a user, intelligence, the IoT intelligence has to happen very quickly. So things need to happen at the edge. Edge systems need to get smarter. Well, that's where AV lives. AV is the very definition of an edge system. These are the systems that are in the rooms that are in the buildings. They're at the edges of the networks, so our systems and the things that we integrate are going to get smarter, and they're going to be far more integral to how IoT-based solutions are effective and deliver outcomes. So to me, it's a really exciting opportunity, because the things that this industry puts in buildings and in enterprises are going to become much more critical to the successful outcomes of IoT-based solutions.
So you say far smarter enablement systems, like the scene support stuff that we would traditionally thought of IT, is very much an AV. Well, look at Obolon, you know. It's a front-ended system, but could be ever so much richer if you had that back-end big data access and was able to do far many things in the more core part of the system. You know, you see some of these things that are a bit unfinished, a bit insult to say so, but you can see the potential of what they could do if they had more of a support infrastructure underneath them.
So this industry is going to create smarter devices that go out at the edge. They're going to create secure devices. We're going to have to, better understand security, and they are going to become the bread and butter of successful IoT outcomes. It's not going to happen unless the systems at the edge, which are the AV devices, really operate in an optimal and analytical fashion.
It's interesting. I mean, IBM obtained on Obolon to create the dashboard from it just recently, so we can see what comes out of that. Actually. But inevitably we get into the subject of skill sets. I mean, where's the networking and middleware expertise that we're probably going to have to need to enable all this stuff?
Absolutely.
I mean, are IT people going to be pulled into AV? What's the attraction to that?
Yeah, so I mean, IoT is not an AV play, right? IoT is a infrastructure play, right? It's everything connected.
I've just been teasing.
But it's interesting, from my perspective, I was one of those early adopters of network connected AV systems, and I pushed and pushed and pushed people to do that, and saw the pushback. In order to enable IoT in your AV system, it has to be on the network. There is no longer the pushback of, no, you can't put that stuff on my network. In fact, customers are now saying, you must put that stuff on my network, because I must be able to manage it from an IT perspective. I must be able to see into it, to remotely operate it, to diagnose problems, to make it work for my users.
So, security will become more of an issue then, won't it?
Security is...
how paranoid IT is about security. I mean, it's just an open sesame for insecure systems, isn't it?
So that's the message to consultants and manufacturers is security is going to be key. Make sure you understand that as you're designing the systems, and make sure the manufacturers understand that as they're designing their products.
So in a year's time, what are we going to be saying about IoT? What's the next step on? Are we going to be saying anything at all? Are we going to have it not call it IoT? Whoever calls it IoT needs to be shot, really. I hate these sort of terms that come out of nowhere.
So it's interesting.
Especially Mr. Chambers starts it off as well.
Accenture, the consulting firm,
yeah.
they call it Internet of Me.
Internet of Me, of course they do.
Right.
I wouldn't know. Yeah.
It's really all about the person. It's about connecting that person to their space they're in.
They're also doing a dashboard for Obolon as well.
Yes,
all seems to be fitting into place rather conveniently, doesn't it? Okay, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're extremely welcome.
And thank you, and join you tomorrow. Bye.